It is 7:30 on this Thursday morning. It is the Chase Robinson Show here on Sports Radio 1580 The Stadium. Glad you're joining us. Hope your Thursday is off to a great start as rain is falling outside right now. It's going to be a little cooler today. Should be a nice day as we get you set for what's going to be a fun weekend of college football. We're going to talk about one of these games we have talked about this week, the Auburn Tigers hosting New Mexico. Roy Philpott will have the call on ESPN2 Saturday night. That will be 6:30 Central there on ESPN2. And Roy Philpott joins us now. Good morning, Roy. How are you?
Chase, I'm doing well, buddy. Hope you are too, and hope all that inclement weather pulls out of Alabama by the time we get ready for kickoff there at Jordan-Hare on Saturday night.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate your time this morning. As what will be an interesting game because I feel like what we saw from Auburn last weekend in the Cal game, really not what anybody was expecting as far as the Auburn Tigers. Just in your, as you've been preparing for this Auburn-New Mexico game this week, what is it that has stood out to you about Auburn, maybe strengths and weaknesses?
Well, I just think if you turn on the game, and I don't think any Auburn fans are going back and watching the replay against Cal from Saturday night on the Plains, but if you did, you just see the quarterback really stand out in the sense that accuracy was an issue. Turnovers were obviously a problem. I mean, Peyton Thorne threw 4 picks in that game, and it could have been 6. At the end of the game, there was a pass interference penalty in the end zone that negated another turnover, and then on that first possession, there was that shovel pass that was nearly kicked in the air, but it touched the ground first. So not the kind of game that Hugh Freeze would have envisioned for a starting quarterback. And so I think that's kind of the priority coming into this matchup is what is happening under center at Auburn with their quarterback position. What do they want to do with Peyton Thorne? Will we see Hank Brown, the backup? Could we see somebody else step in and maybe just try to remedy the offense, to get into the critical part of the season as SEC play arrives. So, yeah, quarterback play certainly stood out Saturday against Cal. Now, the defense played well. The defense played well enough to win. There's no doubt in my mind about that. I think that's part of the underrated nature of how people look at Auburn right now with the pressure they've been able to generate, even though the secondary is a little thin. There's some weapons there on that side of the football. And could this be a year in which the defense carries Auburn into conference play? That's certainly something we'll be talking about, I think, in the broadcast Saturday night.
And I know Auburn has brought in several receivers, whether they're freshmen or out of the portal, but they've rebuilt that receiver room, which I feel like also makes it tough for Auburn fans to know how many good receivers they have, but lacking in the quarterback position.
Cam Coleman's one of the most talented receivers we've seen sign with Auburn in the last 10 years, if not all time. And he's got a little bit of a stinger going on. You wonder, is he going to be 100% in time for this game? But, yeah, I mean, the guys that they brought in, DeAndre Lambert-Smith from Penn State, Caleb Burton from Ohio State, I guess now in his second year. You've got guys like Robert Lewis that came in from Georgia State. We saw him last year. The guy absolutely tore up the Sun Belt. It's a totally different receiving core, and yet you're struggling to try to find ways to get them the ball with any kind of consistency, at least against reasonable competition. I don't know that Alabama A&M qualifies as that, what we saw in week 1 when they scored 73. So, that's the story. New Mexico certainly will put up more of a fight, I think, than what we saw in week 1, but their defense has been porous. They gave up more than 60 points to Arizona in their second game of the year against the Wildcats. So, curious to see if maybe the fact that New Mexico hasn't played very well on that side of the ball, if that helps Peyton Thorne or Hank Brown or whoever else sees the field at quarterback for the Tigers this weekend.
So as you have been looking at New Mexico as well, what stands out to you about the Lobos? What should Auburn fans know about New Mexico?
Well, they have a dual-threat quarterback that can give you headaches. And he rushed for over 100, threw for over 200 in that loss to Arizona, a top 20 Arizona team now, and they scored 39 points in that game. Gave up 61, but scored 39. Devin Dampier is a guy that is going to move the football, I believe, for the Lobos. He's a guy out of Phoenix, Saguaro High School, won a state championship there. He brought in one of his teammates who transferred in from Arizona State this year, Javen Jacobs. They've got a nice chemistry going on. And then their top receiver, Luke Wysong, has put up enormous numbers through his first 2 games, averaging 7 catches per game, over 100 yards receiving per game. So, I mean, on offense, they've got some guys. They've got some dudes, and I think they have an identity. Their head coach is Bronco Mendenhall. You may remember him from Virginia, from BYU before that. He's a guy that I think after a year away from the game has enjoyed a renaissance of sorts, and he's known as a coach that turns around programs. Did it at UVA, did it at BYU, and now he's trying to do it in Albuquerque. So there's some names. There's some familiar guys on their coaching staff. Bronco Mendenhall has 14 assistants on the field. 13 were brought with him either from BYU, Virginia, or both. So those guys kind of know what they're doing. They know each other, and I think that makes a big difference. So, New Mexico, I don't think is a pushover, even though Vegas says it's about a 28-point spread. It's a team that can score some points and has already battled a top 20 team and scored nearly 40 on the road this year. But Devin Dampier is the guy I think that you look at, and if you're a fan of New Mexico, you think, okay, what can this guy do, and can he find a way to keep us in this game for 4 quarters? And we'll find out Saturday night.
Yeah, it did stand out to me as I was looking at New Mexico, the fact that they scored 39 on Arizona, the number 21 team. They did give up 61, though. But, I mean, that says a lot that they were going out to Arizona and able to put up the amount of points that they did.
Yeah, it does. They have a brand. They know what they want to do on offense. It's a dual-threat quarterback. And they ran plays this year on the naked boot where Dampier's had wide-open paths to the end zone, so they're scheming up defenses the way that they want to. Just in their first year there. So, yeah, I think they know who they want to be. And in a game like this, to me, that's as important as having talent and having a scheme and a game plan. They kind of know what their limitations are, but they play to their strengths with the quarterback and Devin Dampier. So, yeah, we'll see. But I think on paper, if, New Mexico is a team that at bare minimum, I think, is designed to give you some headaches and give you some problems, especially in the first half.
Roy Philpott joining us from ESPN. He'll be on the call of Auburn hosting New Mexico Saturday night. And I know, Roy, I've been just watching college football the last couple of weeks, and I've caught you on 2 really good games. You had Vandy in week 1. You had Pitt Cincinnati week 2. I mean, you've seen some really good football here in the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, if you're an Auburn fan, I don't know that you want to hear me on Saturday because, to your point, we had really 2 comebacks in that first game. Vanderbilt went up 17. Virginia Tech came back and led by a touchdown with 2 minutes to go. Then Vanderbilt came back and won it in overtime. Vanderbilt's been, I think, one of the surprises in college football so far this year. And then last week, Cincinnati had a 27-6 lead, waning minutes of the third quarter. And then Pitt just went on a 22-0 scoring barrage and kind of won it at the buzzer with a game-winning field goal from 35 yards out. So, yeah, our crew has been very fortunate to have 2 very competitive games. I don't know that that's what Saturday's going to be, but, look, I mean, Auburn's got to prove some things. They got to prove some things at quarterback. A lot of people are talking about what happened there in year 2 under Hugh Freeze. They expect more of an offensive identity, on that side of the ball and better play at that position of quarterback. And I don't know. So, I mean, you never know in college football. A week ago, we saw Northern Illinois upset Notre Dame in South Bend, and that game was really not an upset if you watch it. NIU outplayed the Irish, especially the line of scrimmage. So you say that crazier things have happened. I don't know if that's the case in 2024, man. Everybody seems to have a chance.
Yep, you are right about that. Again, you'll catch Roy Philpott and his crew there on the Auburn-New Mexico game coming up Saturday night on ESPN2, as that will be a 6:30 Central kickoff down on the Plains. Have you called games at Auburn before?
Auburn and Ole Miss are the 2 SEC venues that I've never called a football game. I've done a ton of basketball at Auburn. I've done baseball. We've done softball down there, but I've never done a football game at Jordan-Hare. I've covered it as a reporter, but never called one. So when we got this assignment, Chase, I was pretty excited to kind of cross that off the bucket list. And, I know they're coming off a loss against Cal, and that maybe diffuses some of the overall energy in the venue. But my expectation of packed house and, a hungry fan base that wants to see just something better than what they got a week ago. So, that didn't downplay it from my perspective. kind of a long-winded answer to your question, but I'm pretty excited to get down there and experience game day and all the traditions, homecoming, Tiger Walk, all the good stuff pregame. Yeah, we're stoked. So it's my first time doing football there, and I intend to soak it all in for sure.
Well, looking forward to watching and hearing your call there. Roy Philpott of ESPN. Roy, really appreciate you taking some time with us this morning, previewing this game. Hopefully we can catch up again with you soon, but thanks for your time this morning.
Yeah, Chase, appreciate you, and congrats on the show and all your success in the play-by-play world. It's not easy to climb the ladder. You're doing it, and continued success for you, man.
Thank you so much. That is Roy Philpott with ESPN as he joins us this morning on the hotline here on the Chase Robinson Show.